Hey, we're back with the Learn, Invest, Grow show with Adam and Tay, partners with Levine Capital. And today we have a very special topic. The topic is passive and active investing. What are the pros and cons? Now, Tay, what is that background you have there? That's a very, I like it a lot. It's a lot of culture, and I know you're in South
Yeah,
Korea.
you can see like a better this way. Yeah.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. I mean, the last time I kind of briefly mentioned in the video, I wanted to have a different background because my default background was very boring, so it's not really pleasant to like a look at. So this is called Gyeongbokgung, like built in like 14th century, like in Korea. So it's a main royal palace of one of the dynasty back in the day, and it's currently located in like yeah, northern part of Seoul, and it was really the home of the kings and the government at that time. And this is on the top of the my to-go list with my family once this self-quarantine is over. So we are planning to go there and then explore different like activities going on like the next week. So yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm sure my daughter will really appreciate the different like a traditional aspect of Korea. Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to come down there and
Yeah, yeah, you
explore
should
with
definitely check it out if you ever yeah come to visit Korea. Yeah.
it. Yeah, Grace and I definitely want to. We're definitely that's our bucket list. We want to go to every country we could. Like eventually, well,
Mm-mm.
Korea is definitely on
Yeah,
the top.
that'd be really cool. Yeah.
Let's get to it now. So by the way, Tay, so you don't so you have a background, worked for Goldman for over 5 years. You know, Goldman Sachs, the investment bank. He's also working for another. He worked as an analyst, CFA, CPA, very high level, and now you're a real estate investor. And what's really nice is with your background, you could do anything. You could go into his numbers analysis, qualitative, and quantitative analysis. You could do it all. And this is a very interesting topic, very simple, but maybe to someone new, they don't know the pros and cons. And we're here to just basically talk about that passive and active investing. And Tay, tell us now what you know about it, the passive and active investing.
Yeah, yeah, I think that this is really the important topic and the important question to ask ourselves. I mean, if you really decided to invest in real estate, I think this is one of the first questions to ask yourself because is it totally like not totally, but it's somewhat different between the two, and then it's critically important to understand their distinction because they have a different characteristic that might help you achieve your goal like faster and better yeah, depending on what you're looking for. So as an active investor, you're deeply involved in every aspect of the deal, from finding the markets and properties, like yeah, talking to the lender and real estate agents, obtaining financing, like managing the property, pretty much like everything like involved in the real estate transaction. So and you're the person who's doing it all, and therefore you get the lion's share of the return if everything really goes well. And the other way to invest is passively, right? So instead of doing all the work, your work is primarily to find great partners, syndicators or sponsors or whatnot, who operates the deal from beginning to the end. So in other words, you're leveraging their expertise and resources to create returns for you. So these are really the kind of at high level is the main distinction between the two. Yeah.
Now, what are the pros and cons? You know, that was thank you for that explanation on what the difference between both of them are. But now, obviously, there's pros to being active. There's also cons, and there's also pros to being passive and cons. You want to highlight what your view on that is?
Oh yeah, so absolutely. So I mean, in my opinion, like in terms of pros and cons of both like the investing type, I think the really many aspects revolve around control and time. So I'll explore them here. So I talk about active investing first, right? So one of the benefits of active investing is great amount of control that you have. So you actually own the property. So you can make all the major decisions. For example, you want to fix it up. You want a certain color in the interior. Do you want to hold on to the property? Do you want to sell it? How do you want to take advantage of tax benefits? These are all your decisions to make when you actually own the property yourself. And some people love to have this control, and it's really important to them. But on the other hand, the downside of the active investing is time. It takes a lot of time to actually take good care of this property. Kind of like flip side of control we just talked about, right? So you got to be putting a significant amount of time to figure out what is best way to run this property to optimize your return. You may not have the experience to really make the most out of this investment. So the burden of knowledge completely rests on your shoulders. And definitely the responsibility is there. Also, it's possible that you might be a little bit more exposed to liability, but then obviously like making sure you have a good asset protection and lawyers on your side, and making sure you have a good structures and insurance can help minimize this risk. And like now, yeah, let's switch gears and talk about like passive real estate investing. One of the greatest benefits, I think, is also kind of the other way around, like a time involved. So when you're an active investor, you're in it from day to day, right? Especially in the beginning. Once you hand it off to the property management, and the property is performing pretty well, probably putting a lot less time into it, but it does take some time to position the property and get to the place. When you do passive investing, pretty much all of the work is now upfront. Of course, learning how to vet and determine who to invest with does take some time and experience as well. And it's something that you shouldn't take lightly, because once you're in these investments, you're on the ride, typically for the total term and life of the investment. But again, that's concentrated upfront. So once you invest, all the decisions are out of your hands, and really there's no more time commitment expected from you. You just sit back and wait for cash distribution, and now your time is freed up to enjoy what you want to do with it. On the other hand, this benefit can be also turned to the downside in the form of a lack of control. So if you really enjoy the control, then this could be a downside. So you don't really get to say what happens with that investment, whether you want to sell it, you want to get the money back, and that sort of thing, right? So you're pretty much locked in. So when it comes to something called liquidity, meaning how quickly you can convert that investment to cash, that's not on your side. Whether this takes 3, 5, or 7 years, you need to be able to sit and be patient during the life of that investment, and that's the kind of expectation. So it's also known that you're going to pay a little bit more in the way of fees, and that's because you have somebody else who's managing this investment. But ultimately, what's important is that, are you happy with the return, or you're happy with the less amount of time that you put in? Do you also believe because of their expertise, they can get you a greater return than you could possibly get on your own? Yeah, basically you should assess whether you get what you're going after.
Peace of mind.
So
Peace of mind.
yeah, peace of mind. Yeah,
And
yeah,
time.
exactly.
You're not
Yeah,
trading in time for money. In fact, you're putting in But there's also something I wanted to highlight too. So a few things, right? To become an active investor, maybe it takes less money to get started, right?
Mm.
Or or as a passive investor, it takes more money because so there's a few things, right? One, the benefit of being, or to be able to become a passive investor is it takes more money. I mean, granted, can you invest little bits of money? Sure, you could, but typically, like what I feel, or for example, for my father, he's done very well for himself as a dentist. We just actually just did an interview with him, and we'll share that video of how he got started, the pros and cons, and why he likes passive investing. Very simple. The I just want everybody to understand that the most sophisticated investors, number one, in the world, multi-billion-dollar pension funds, institutional investors, a lot of them invest passively because they would rather rely on someone else that has years of experience. In fact, it could take many years just to master an asset class. They'd rather leverage their relationships with brokers,
Right. Yeah.
vendors, their infrastructure. They do, that maybe they can't do themselves. In fact, let's say I want to invest, right? I want to put out, let's say, $100,000, right? What's $100,000 going to get you? Maybe a house, a small house, right? But that same $100,000, if you invest with someone else, you could control a lot more, and you have less, and you're diversifying as well because your money may be in, let's say, multiple houses versus one house, or many units. If it's
Right.
it could be many different assets. You may be investing in a fund or a syndication. So you're diluting your risk because you're not tying up in one house. You're investing with another operator that it's a pool of other money that owns many other assets. So basically, you could do
Yeah, that's a really great point of diversification, right? The number of units, and you spread the risk, and also in terms of like a diversification, you could also diversify by like investing in different asset classes, like through passive investing, right? Like multifamily, like a self-storage or office. I mean, it takes a lot of time to learn and master each asset class, but you can actually work with the operator, a trustworthy operator, to kind of diversify through these different asset classes. And also, same is true for geography. I mean, if you're active investor, maybe you're more familiar with your local market, so you kind of tend to stay within local area, but then through like a passive investing channel, you can even branch out to different states, right? For example, so all this reason, like you can actually diversify. Yeah.
Yeah, and more than that, it's the diversification. It's the risk. Also, another thing is, let's say you're a
Right.
passive investor, you become a limited partner, meaning you're not the one that is in control. All that liability is off your shoulders. You don't have to deal
Mm-hmm.
with banks, that have legal recourse on you. Let's say there's a lawsuit that happens. They can't go after you, So
Right.
you're really protecting yourself as a passive investor. Going back to, like, let's say, for example, we use an analogy. Let's say you want to fix a plumbing, right? Are you gonna try doing it yourself? Or are you gonna hire a licensed plumber, right? Well, I would hope you will hire a plumber to do it. Same thing with real estate. The same thing with investing. You don't need to do everything yourself. In fact, you could do a lot better by hiring professionals. That's all they do. And a lot of the large institutional investors, they do the same thing. They manage a lot of money, but they're rather rely on professionals. And the same thing with people. They may have a full-time job, but you know what though? They'll put their money somewhere with someone that's a professional versus doing it themselves. In fact, doing it themselves could be a tremendous disservice because they could put themselves at more risk because they may not have the experience. They may not even have the time. And guess what? Experience and no time could be a recipe for disaster. And that's I think I spoke to you about that in the past about you wanted to get into it. I was like, whoa, this is a full-time job. And then I showed you all the moving parts of being an investor actively. And that's a whole other story we get into how we got into this subject. But point is,
yeah, I didn't really realize like what it's really like to be an active investor back in the day, right? Yeah.
you knew the
So
number.
I'm really like thankful that you actually helped me. I'm open my eyes to the true reality. I mean, once you know and then you like it, then that's fine. But then the true risky thing is you just like get into without knowing what's behind the scenes. So I think that's something we need to be careful of. Yeah.
The basic point is be careful of all these commercials or infomercials or advertisements of these get rich quick schemes of, no money down and you could make $1 million or whatever flipping houses or buying holds. And look, at the end of the day, are things possible? Yes. But there's a lot of gurus out there that make it seem like it's easy, and the reality is it's not. Nothing is easy. To me, my opinion, nothing worthwhile is easy in life. And investing in real estate is not easy, and it could take a lifetime to master it or to one asset class. And what I learned was, from my personal experience watching my father, is that he did very well actively investing. And there's a lot of problems that I saw throughout the process of dealing with tenants. Even when you have property managers in place, there's still work that needs to be done, because at the end of the day, there's a problem, and the decision still needs to be made by the owner. So even though you have a property manager, they're going to contact you with every problem that happens, and they're going to need an answer. As a passive investor, all you care about is how much money do you need, what's my money doing, when am I getting it back? They're not calling you about every decision that needs to be made. They're not doing that, so you don't have to worry about all the nuances of being a landlord. And that's really it. There's so let's rehash, right? Active, you have more control. That's a benefit. You could choose, like you said, you could pick and choose what strategy. If you want to color, whatever colors you want. Obviously, it's the time horizon of how long you want to hold the investment. You can do whatever you want. You have full control. It's yours.
Right. Yeah.
Passive, there's little to no control, and that could probably be a good thing for you, actually, because you're gonna save yourself from making bad decisions being a passive investor. And that's really it. There's nothing, it's very simple. Obviously, there's a lot more moving parts that we could get into of how to vet for passive investment opportunity. You don't want to just invest in any passive investment opportunity. I could tell you horror stories of passive investments that went horribly wrong. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of just inexperienced operators that you just, me personally, I would rather avoid. And that's a whole other subject. And Tay, anything else that I'm leaving out?
I think we really try to cover the as much ground as possible, and then I think that sums it up what we discussed. So I mean, at the end of the day, like I think it kind of boils down to which investing type can get you what matters to you in life, right? Like helping you lead a life of a fulfillment. Do you like rolling up your sleeves, like getting in there, but maybe you don't? Maybe you rather invest that time in your own business. You want to have more time to spend with your family and do the things you love. So it's really all up to you. No right or wrong answer. It's really it comes down to your personal fit and what you want to achieve with this real estate investing. So yeah, for those who are listening to us, we are curious about what sounds more interesting to you. Do you like the active side or the passive side? And if you're investing right now, yeah, which one do you lean more heavily towards, right? And we wonder, there are people out there who like to do both and have found ways
Both,
to
yeah.
take the take strengths of both types of investing to really kind of help you achieve your goals. So yeah, we are curious. We'd love to hear from you. Um,
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to mention too that I believe I missed out. There's benefits, right? You could being a passive investor, you could still have the same benefits that active investors have. These are the tax benefits. I'm not a tax professional, so speak to your professionals, but you still have the same tax benefits.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
You still have the you have depreciation. You could the write-offs. You could have the benefits of
10,
carrying interest.
1031 exchange, right? The
Oh,
different tax. Yeah, yeah,
you have all the same. I mean, you can have the same. But 1031s, we could talk about that too. It's a whole other subject of if you're in a syndication, you want 1031 it. You can't go into another syndication. It has to go to a TIC, tenant in common structure. Whole other subject. We'll leave that for another time. Um,
yeah.
but general, you have a lot of the benefits. If you're a professional investor, which then you have more tax benefits. Even if you're investing passively, you can still be a professional investor and invest passively, right? In fact, there are
Yeah.
professional investors, like I mentioned, like pension funds, institutional investors that invest passively. They're professionals, they manage money for others, but they invest passively. Because why? Because they're rather reliable professionals that have the infrastructure, they have the relationships with lenders, brokers, their service providers. And it just makes sense to do it that way. Same thing with us, our family. My father, for example, he's been the active route. Now he's retired, and he'll rather just invest passively because the amount of time, the phone calls, the all the moving parts of being an active investor, he's tired of it. And you'll hear that in his next interview. And that's really it. So please,
Yeah.
this is we're very excited to share our inputs. This is the Learn, Invest, Grow show with Adam and Tay. Like, comment down below. Let us know what you think. If you got anything from us, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. You could visit us at levinecapital.com. You could email myself, Adam, at levinecapital.com, or Tay at Tei at levinecapital.com. You can find us here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're there. Or it's very simple. Just write us a comment down below and just let us know that what you have, any questions. And that's it. So today is Sunday football, and we're here to educate. And to me, this is a huge passion of mine. And I'm very excited to have Tay on board as a partner. To me, it's just very humble to have someone like you on here that just has the passion like I do in this and wants to keep on learning.
Yeah.
I'll leave this for thought. Like, I have a master's in real estate management. I learned a lot from my father, and I'm still learning. This is a business that you continue to learn and educate. And by us
Yeah,
sharing
exactly.
with you, it helps us because it really, by teaching, you learn as well as you go, because this is a business that you just continue to learn, and by teaching it also helps as well. If that makes sense to you, Tay. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's the sharing the what we learn and gain experience really solidifies what we already know. So yeah, and also the multiply what we know so that it can actually
help.
benefit other people too. Yeah.
That's all we get. We want to help people. I want to help people so they could avoid the stuff that we went through. And that's it. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you guys joining us. And write a comment, share, And we'll be back with the next topic. If you have another topic for us, let us know, and maybe that will be the topic that we'll go on to talk about next week. So thank you again, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.
Yeah, until next time, happy investing, guys.
Happy
Yeah.
investing. Bye.